What's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back in a video today, and we're going to be talking about one of the most recent NFL rumors going on right now, and it is about Baker Mayfield and potentially an option for a new team for him, and it is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Earlier on the Dan Patrick Show, Rick Stroud, who is a writer for Tampa Times, was on there, and he was talking about the potential options for the Buccaneers with the quarterback position after Tom Brady retiring yesterday, and he said that he could see Baker Mayfield being a realistic option. And that turned into a Bleacher Report article, not too later in the couple hours later. And yeah, he did say that the Bucks were a team that were interested in Baker Mayfield when last season, when Tom Brady tricked us and was retired for 40 days, and then somehow 40 days later, with a simple tweet said, "I'm coming back to football," and then played this season. So ultimately, that took the Buccaneers out of the conversation for Baker Mayfield last season, and that was one of their options in replacing Tom when he originally retired the first time. And they when Tom Brady did unretire, obviously they weren't going to trade for him, and the Panthers ended up trading for him. We all know how that ended up, happening. It ended up him being cut like week 10 or week 11, whenever he was cut. It did not go well in Carolina, but he does get claimed by the Rams. Played pretty decent in LA in 5 starts. 4 starts. And, his first game, I think John Wolford started the game, played the first drive, and then Baker comes in and they got the win over the Raiders. He took the Rams in his first game as a Ram. He took the Rams on a 98-yard, 2-minute game-winning touchdown drive. But I mean, he was pretty decent in his 5 games with the LA Rams. 850 passing yards, 4 touchdown passes, only 2 interceptions thrown in those 5 games. Was 2-3 as a starter. Had some hard matchups. Had to deal with a fighting Seahawks team in the playoffs. Took them to overtime. They were trying to get in the playoffs. His other losses was to the Chargers and then to the Packers, who were also keeping their playoff alive, their hopes alive. And then his 2 wins were a blowout on Christmas against the Broncos, 51-14, and then also the Raiders when the Rams made that comeback against the Raiders on a 98-yard touchdown drive. I wouldn't mind Baker Mayfield being the next Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback, but although I can see a better option for the Buccaneers, I mean, I don't think Jimmy G's an option. Obviously, that's a way you can go think of is trying to sign Jimmy G. I just don't see its option. Cap space is a little bit of a problem for Tampa, and I don't know how much money Jimmy's looking for, but I just don't see the fit. I mean, either way, Jimmy G's not a great deep ball thrower, and you have 2 wide receivers who need a quarterback who can throw it, far. And I mean, Garoppolo, he's a good quarterback. I just think you need someone who's, can air it out a little more. And I don't know if Baker's the guy to do that, but definitely is a better deep ball thrower than Jimmy G. Also, with contract-wise, I think it's cheaper to bring in Baker than it is to bring in Jimmy, right? Especially with the cap space problems that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have. But here's an option that I would think would be the best fit for the Buccaneers is Derek Carr. If Derek Carr gets traded somewhere else or gets signed somewhere else, if he gets cut, then I say Baker's your next best option. But right now, I think the starting job for the Buccaneers right now is down between Baker Mayfield and Derek Carr. I don't know who's going to get signed there or traded there, but I do know if I'm Tampa, those 2 guys right there has to be one of the 2 finest options for your 2023 quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Obviously, Tom Brady, he's retired. But next on, I like Derek Carr. I think he'd work well with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. I think I think, yeah, I think Derek Carr just needs a new start with someone else, and I think the Buccaneers, that's a good place for Derek Carr to start new. And honestly, why not? If Derek Carr joins the Bucks, I still think they could be one of the favorites in the division just because of how good their defense is with Devin White, and Vita Vea, and some of the other players they have on defense. Maybe Levante David will resign. That's going to be hard with their cap space to re-sign David, but they have a great defense. I think they're going to have to bring in a nice offensive coordinator, and if they can get either one of those guys in Baker or Derek Carr in, I think they would have a better shot to win the division with Derek than they would Baker. But also another thing that you have to think about is when Baker was in LA in his 5 games, did not have the best wide receivers. Yes, you have Allen Robinson, you have Cooper Kupp, but both were injured in every single 5 games that he played. So he never played with Allen Robinson or Cooper Kupp. His best wide receiver was Van Jefferson, who did pretty decent in his time in last season when he was with Baker. But Van Jefferson is not a true number one. He's a good wide receiver, but Baker going into Tampa would have way more weapons with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and possibly a new tight end. But I think that would be a great option for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think definitely it's down quarterback wise to Baker Mayfield and Derek Carr, between those two guys on who's going to be their quarterback next season. I think it's going to really depend on those two guys, who fits them better, who they like better. I've heard that the Bucs are interested in bringing in, I don't know if it was QB's coach or some coach that's from Cleveland that worked with Baker and is the offensive coordinator. So in that case, if you're bringing in someone who coached Baker, maybe Baker is the best fit for the Buccaneers next season. That's not a hard division to win in unless the Falcons make some huge trade and land Lamar Jackson, which I don't think they're going to land Lamar Jackson. So the Falcons, let's just assume they're going to be running with Desmond Ridder again next season. Honestly, I think the Falcons are going to be the team that lands Caleb Williams next year, in the next year, not this year's draft, but the 2024 draft. I think they will be, if they have Desmond Ridder as their quarterback next season, and continue to go in the rebuild stage, I think the Falcons will be the worst team in football next season. So in that case, I think if Desmond Ridder, he's continuing to be their quarterback. The Panthers are definitely a dangerous team in that division with Frank Reich coming in as the head coach. It's looking like the Panthers could be getting C.J. Stroud as their future quarterback. Things starting to go right in Carolina. And then with New Orleans, they're kind of looking to go into rebuild. So New Orleans and Atlanta, they're not going to be good. I think the division's definitely down to Carolina and Tampa like it was last season. And I think that I think Tampa would definitely have the edge to win the division, in my opinion, just because of I think better quarterback play. If Derek Carr's coming in, I think Tom Brady's is obviously going to go down as the GOAT, right? He'll always be the GOAT, but Tom Brady last season was not Tom Brady in the previous past that we've seen. And honestly, I know Derek Carr struggled himself last season, but I think, Derek Carr in his previous seasons with the Raiders, or even last season, is better than the way Tom Brady played last season. If you look at the way Derek Carr played in the season before, where the way Derek Carr played in the 2021 season, where he, pushed them into the wild card and ultimately lost to the Bengals in the wild card. The way Derek Carr played that season is way better than the way Tom Brady played this season. So if Derek Carr is playing good football and playing, the way we've seen him play in multiple seasons with the Raiders and play great football, and definitely coming in with the right weapons with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, and then I think that Derek Carr would definitely have the right to be a really good quarterback with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think they're definitely on line to win the division. I think with Baker, you have a shot, and I think you have a chance. With Carr, if you get Carr, I think you're definitely the favorite to win the division. It's not a hard division. You got easy opponents with the Saints and the Falcons, and then you got a kind of a nice competitor with the Panthers, a rising up team, right? So in that case, from then on, I mean, it's definitely down to the Panthers and the Bucs. I think it's more of a fair game if you have Baker. I think it's more of a fair shot at the division if you have Baker, but I think the Bucs definitely have a better chance if they have Carr. You guys, let me know what you guys think. You guys, let me know your thoughts and let me know who you think the quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers should be next season. I think both quarterbacks definitely fit. Baker and Carr, they both definitely fit in this Bucs offense, and I think it's going to depend on who Tampa likes more. Definitely, it's going to depend on who Tampa brings in their as their offensive coordinator, and we'll just see. But that's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts, and peace out.